community would God would not allow the community to spread. So your community has spread. So do you believe that the Qadiani claim is false, or do you think that there is no real evidence to support that claim?
That's a good point. I think you're right. If something is from God, it should unite people. It should bring communities together. It should spread organically, and it should be healthy community. It should have a strong administrative structure, which the Baha'i faith, by the grace of God, has. We have a lot. We have a lot of sources of guidance, and there is not one individual that claims like a priest or clergyman or a ulama. We don't have anything like that in the Baha'i faith, and you know, and you're right. I think if it's something that's from God, it should grow, just like Islam, just like Christianity, just like Judaism. And the Baha'i faith is only 181 years old, and it's growing. In a world that's really crazy right now. All we're all trying to see what is our true identity as children of God. All of us, whether you're from Pakistan, Iran, Russia, USA, whatever you're from. The Baha'i faith, we're trying to establish a global ethic, a global identity that we all feel like we belong in this world at the same time. And that is a challenge. That's why maybe the faith could, it's growing a little bit slow, because the world is more and more becoming atheist or non-believer. And then, but I feel like there will be a time when people will recognize the Baha'i faith and see the fruits that the faith is offering to the world, and then it will bring us all together as one human race.
Thank you very much for addressing my questions. I'll let the others carry on with you. Thank you. I have to go anyway. Thank you.
Hey, can I ask a question?
Please, yes, my friend, please.
Okay, my name is Hassan. I wanted to ask you about the cycles which you briefly discussed in your previous answers. You said that there was a cycle. The first cycle was from Adam to Abraham, right? And then from Abraham to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This was the second cycle, and then there is a new cycle begin around 180 years ago, or whatever, 150 years ago, whenever the Baha'i faith came into existence. So, and then you said that Baha Allah said that there would be no prophet, or per your belief, a manifestation of God in this world for 1,000 years. Is that correct? I understood correct?
It was a cardinal. Did you hear my answer?
I can't hear you.
Yeah, I said yes. Sorry about that.
All right. So I would like to ask you that how many years difference was there between Adam and Abraham? I mean, if these cycles are real, the cycles must have the similar kind of repetition. Like, for example, if we see from Adam to Abraham, I don't know, these were more than 1,000 years, and then from Abraham to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there more than, I think, more than 5,000 years. I'm not sure, but it's close to that number. But after that, then why this cycle is grown shortened? Why it is shortened now? Why it is 1,000 years now? So that is my first question. If you can explain. Then my second question would be that how do you see Quran, and what do you think that Quran in its current state is requires some some addition to it, or according to Islam, it's the final revelation, and it is for the humanity up to the end of this world. Yeah, these are the two things I will ask.
Yeah, so let's take that step by step. So the first one is, you're asking me how long is the how many years between Abraham to and Adam, right?
Yeah.
I believe that's a good question. I'm not sure if I have a clear answer to that. It could be 50,000 years. It could be 500,000 years. It's difficult to say. What does Islam think about that? Do you know?
No. I don't have a very specific answer to that. My main question was relating the cycle. Okay, so you said that the first cycle, I forgot the name of that cycle, and then you said that we had the prophetic cycle, and then you said that there is the third cycle which is going on, which is like the fulfillment cycle.
Exactly.
So if these cycles, if it all makes sense for me, these cycles should have an equal number of years between them, so then it will make a little sense. But I mean, it will be convenient and will have a conflict of interest if Baha Allah says that, okay, after me there will be 1,000, why not 5,000? So does it make any sense or not?
I think generally speaking, you could argue that approximately every prophet of God, we could argue that from Abraham to Moses was probably 1,000 years, maybe, or maybe 800 years, I don't know. And then from Moses to Jesus was probably another 1,000 years or something. And so I think there is a cycle a little bit there. I know from Prophet Muhammad and Jesus, it was like 600 or 10 years or something. But I feel like roughly it's between 600 to 1,000 years between them. And I don't think necessarily it needs to be a perfect number, because it's whatever God decides, Maybe the world needs something, and God will bring it at a time that we don't understand, But I think as Baha'is we follow strictly when Baha Allah says not until 1,000 years. We follow that strictly. But in the past, it was probably not like that. It was like you had different prophets or minor prophets like Isaiah, Daniel in the Bible, that are considered prophets. Even Joseph, right? Joseph is a prophet of Egypt. So these were prophets too. They were more frequently sent because the world needed it more, and now that we have technology and transportation and communication, mass communication, I think the Baha'i faith is anyone can learn about it wherever you are. So it's a different time we're living in, and the transmission of information is rapid. Like what we're doing here. You can't imagine that happening during Prophet Muhammad's time, so that's the first question. So yeah, I don't think the cycles have to be perfect numbers. It's however the world is. I think it's based on society and the people. And then the other question was, how do we view the Quran? Yeah, we like I said, we believe that in the cycle of prophecy, or the prophetic cycle, which Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was he was the seal of prophets within that cycle. That means he sealed the cycle of prophecy, and then Baha'i faith ushered in a new cycle of fulfillment. Because every prophet in the past, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Zoroaster, Buddha, Krishna, they all have prophesied that there was going to be a special day and a special individual or personage and that they will lead the world into global peace. And this is a promise that the Baha'i faith, that's why we're in the cycle of fulfillment, because we have the teachings now and the divine guidance to make the world peace one day. It's not easy, but that's the next stage, you know. I don't know what was the other questions. Would you ask me, please?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. The next question was that how the Baha'i faith see Quran, and and I mean, how do you see it? What do you think it is?
Yeah, we believe the Quran is a authentic book from God, and that it clarifies a lot of misunderstandings in Christianity and the previous religions, and it's yeah, it's complete in that sense that it is taking into account things that, you know, in the past people had confusion about. So it is an authentic book of God, and it's perfect, and we have absolute respect and reverence toward the Quran.
Okay, so my question is that, okay, now Baha Allah, he also took inspiration from Quran. I believe so. I'm not very sure about it because I have not read a lot about you guys, but I heard and read a little bit about you guys that he also took inspiration from Quran, but he said that the Arab are I mean, the ones he will use Arab. You know the Arab, right? Which will give you what is basically the purpose of that word there. So he said he also took inspiration from Quran, and then he has his own revelations as well. So what do you think are some similarities which you have from Quran, and what are the some differences you have from Quran's inspiration and the Baha'u'llah's inspiration?
Where did you read that he took inspiration from the Quran?
Okay, so you think that he never took inspiration from Quran, right?
No. So because Baha'u'llah was a manifestation of God, he talks about how all of the messengers, even Islam believes this, that Muhammad said, we make no distinction among the messengers, you know? That means that they're all bearers of one religion in a way. Like if you think about it, like all of the messengers, you know, Muhammad, Jesus, Moses, they're all bearers of one message from God, but that message evolves. It like, maybe you could look at it as one book, but a new chapter, you know? So so to God, Jesus, Muhammad, Moses are one. And they're different, you know? They're one and different. Different in the sense that in the physical world, a world of limitation, there's gonna be human beings that look different, that smell different, that have a different name, that are from a different part of the world, they speak a different language, but they are all sent by the same God, and then they're all bearers of one message. And so if they're truly bearers of one message according to Baha'u'llah, then they all utter the same word. You know, like, so in a way you could say Baha'u'llah was Prophet Muhammad in the sense that he is revealing the same message as Muhammad. But there's evolution, or there's you could say an uncovering of a new message for the different time. So it might sound different now because it has a different purpose, you know? So to me, because they're the bearers of one message from God, that they should evidently know what the previous messengers said, you know? And so you could see in the Baha'u'llah's writings, he didn't really go to school, you know? He was a prisoner and an exile for 40 years of his life, but he somehow, through God, was able to quote from the Quran, quote from the Injil. How can he do that if he's in prison, you know? He can only do that if he's from God. And then he also admits that he did not learn from the same schools as others around him, you know? So that means he had innate knowledge from God. And he didn't need to memorize anything that human beings normally have to. So that's how we view that.
All right. Okay. Or, I mean, you said that a community should have a strong system and all. Tell us about a little bit about the Baha'i community. How do you guys operate? Who is the leader in that? Who leads your Jamaat or your group now? How is the structure, and where do you think you stand in that structure?
So the administrative structure that's been erected by Baha Allah's great grandson Shoghi Effendi, who was a successor of Abdul Baha, who is the son of Baha Allah. Abdul Baha succeeded Baha Allah in the Will and Testament, and Baha Allah and then Abdul Baha was succeeded by Shoghi Effendi in the Will and Testament. And then in the same Will and Testament, Abdul Baha said he gave us an appreciation and understanding about the future of the Baha'i faith, which would have a universal house of justice. And Baha'u'llah actually, in a book called Kitab-e-Aqdas, the most holy book, the book of laws for the Baha'is, Baha'u'llah talks about the universal house of justice there. And Shoghi Effendi helped put that together, you know. That was one of his strong missions. You know, between 1920, like late 1920s and until 1950, late 1950s, when he passed away in 1957. And Shoghi Effendi helped us put the Baha'i administrative structure together, okay? And it's a structure that's organic, you know, like an organism, you know, a live organism. It's a structure made up of members who are faithful, and it's a service, you know. We're all what we do within the administrative structure. We're all serving God, you know. There is no power up down, like a, you know, bureaucratic power that we see in the political systems in the world. It's not like that. It's a flow of guidance from the Universal House of Justice, which Baha'u'llah said is infallible. That means whenever they come together and have a quorum or legislate, you know, there's 9 members that's nationally or internationally elected body. And by the National Spiritual Assemblies of the Baha'is of the world. There's a National Spiritual Assembly everywhere. And they all, every few years, they go to Haifa, Israel, and they vote for the new members. And the members could be from any parts of the world. And then they get voted in, and it's a 5-year term for each. So the Universal House of Justice, what they do is, you know, because in the Baha'u'llah's writings, he says, this is the day that will not be followed by night, which means that there's no longer going to be any error. You know, like the Baha'i faith has come to establish the most great peace on planet Earth. Nothing the previous religions have ever done, you know? And because that's the time for it now, according to God's teachings, you know? And so the only way that we can do that is through the guidance of the Universal House of Justice. They're guiding the Baha'i world to move toward the most great peace, the establishment, you know? And they send messages to the world. They send messages to different communities. They send messages to different countries. And there is messages that are universal. There's messages that are specific to a particular locality, and then and everyone else, we are, look into the Universal House of Justice because they're infallible, you know. Baha Allah says that whatever they do or whatever they say, it is as if I said it, you know. So we do have an infallible system that we've never had that before in the religious history of the world. So through this guide, we will achieve, without doubt, the most great peace. And yeah, that's how it you know, in a nutshell, it is structured.
So these are the members. How many members are there, which is making this summit or this in the House of Justice? How many people are there which are elected? Nine, you said, right?
Yeah, nine are elected. Nine. Yeah, nine
Okay.
are elected.
So those 9 people, whatever they will decide, that will be considered the word of God, correct?
It would be as though Baha Allah said it. Yeah. It would.
Yeah, because
yeah.
because why I said that, because Baha Allah himself claimed to be the manifestation of the God, right? So whatever he spoke, it was from the God. He never spoke it from his own will, right? This is what his claim is. I came to know. So if he is telling that these 9 people, whatever they will decide, would be the way to follow, so it means that, and you said that it is a system which is not there in any community, but I think I have a quite examples, 1 or 2, but that is another story. I just want to know about your faith. So whatever those 9 people will decide, and it will be gender neutral, or you have certain seats of men and women in that you can answer later, but that is not important. Right now is that those 9 people, whatever they will decide, then the community will follow that, correct?
Exactly.
And where those 9 people stay, they stay in your headquarters in Haifa.
Exactly. Yeah? Yep. Exactly. Yep.
All right. That's interesting. So how do you guys manage your economical functionality of your group, of your community? How does that work? You know, do you pay a certain homage, or how does that work for you guys?
Yeah, giving to the Baha'i Fund, which is like in the U.S., we have a national Baha'i Fund, which goes toward the affairs of the Baha'i community and the growth of the Baha'i faith. And you could donate whatever you can. It's not a particular amount, and it's a voluntary thing, and it is all up to the ability and the spiritual, I would say, condition of an individual. Your choice is up to you. And then there is another. So there are several funds. There's national, international, and then these funds will help the Baha'i faith to grow. And only Baha'is who are members of the Baha'i community can do that. You know, we don't take money from outside of the faith. And then yeah, so that's kind of, you know, about that.
Got it. So there is no a must that you have to pay. There is no minimum threshold or a maximum threshold. Whatever you can give it for the community's sake with your own will, that will be acceptable. Even if somebody is a member of Baha'i community and they don't want to pay it out of their will, even though they are able to pay, the community would not question them. Is that correct?
Exactly, yeah. It is up to each individual's conscience. Yeah. And the other thing is,
So
there's one more fund. There's one more fund called Hugugullah, which means the right of God, and that one is also voluntary, but it's a very special one, and it's basically 19%. So I think the way I understand it is after someone earns an income, let's say that year you earn an income, you spend your money on your physical needs, your necessities, nutritional needs, whatever you need to buy. So after you've done that, whatever is left over, I believe, 19% of that should go to the right of God. And we understand that to be like a process of purification, because if you get that 19% to the right of God fund, then it purifies our economical reality. And again, that's also voluntary, and you can't be in debt to do that. You have to be out of debt, and then you can do that.
Okay, that's good. Okay, now can you tell me briefly about the certain type of prayers, that like in the Muslim community we have 5 prayers, and I want to know the ibadat. You know about ibadat. So what kind of ibadat do you guys do, and what do you do during those ibadat, and is there any frequency of that, and how does it fit in with your system?
Yeah, in the Baha'i faith, we have many prayers for almost everything, for marriage, for forgiveness, for tests and difficulties, for teaching, for fasting, for really anything you can imagine. We have prayers for children, Baha Allah wrote, and Abdul Baha. And so there's, we are advised or encouraged to pray as much as we want. But then we have specific prayers, like the namaz. We do, there's 3 obligatory prayers. The first one is short, and this is what it says. I'll say the short one because it's easier. It says, I bear witness, O my God, that thou hast created me to know thee and to worship thee. I testify at this moment to my powerlessness and to thy might, to my poverty and to thy wealth. There is none other God but thee, the help in peril, the self-subsisting. So that's the short one. You say between noon and sunset every day. There's also a middle one, which is a little bit longer. It has genuflections, and then you have to wash your hands and face. You do the same thing with the short one. You wash your face, but then this one you have to wash your face, and then it's called ablutions. Yeah, you do your ablutions for all of them, and then the middle one you do it 3 times. I believe 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and 1 at night. And you after you do your ablutions, you have to there's like prostrations, like genuflections, like Islam has. And then we have the long one, which you say once every 24 hours, any time of the day. And then that's the longest. And that also you have to do genuflection and ablutions as well. And then I try to do the long one as much as I can because I really love the long one. And yeah, so those are you have to do those. And the other thing that you have to do is read the Word of God and to meditate on them, or the words of Baha Allah's writings, and meditate on them every morning and every evening.
Okay, interesting. So, do you guys have a community center in every community, or like we have masajid, we have the mosques everywhere, and we go there 5 times a day and we do prayer together. So, is there anything like that as well you guys have, or no?
Yeah, we have Baha'i temples throughout the world. Like I live in Minnesota. The closest Baha'i temple that we have, which is a very beautiful Baha'i temple, it's called the House of Worship, and it's also called the Mother Temple of the West. It's in Illinois, which is where Chicago is, but the city that it is in, it's called Wilmette, which is right on Lake Michigan, you know. And that one is a little bit far for most people, but we also have Baha'i centers. Like we have a Baha'i center in Minneapolis. A lot of times when Baha'is get together, they just get together in their homes to say prayers, read the writings, have festivities. And yeah, so small communities, we just invite each other over to each other's homes, like for potluck and to get together. But in every large city like Los Angeles, San Francisco, other large cities, you know, Dallas, you know, you could pretty much bet there will be a Baha'i center there or a large Baha'i presence. And there's always, you know, you could find out wherever you live to contact your local Baha'i community. We have a very good website that you could reach out and see where the Baha'i community is. Or if you live in a big city in the U.S. or Canada or any part of the world, you could just like Google wherever your city is, type Baha'i Center in your city, and then I'm sure you will find something wherever you are.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, I really appreciate you answering all the questions. You know. Do you have any questions for us or anything you wanna know?
Do you mind if I ask you?
Yes, go ahead, Sultan. Go ahead.
Hello, Savinci, you okay? Do you remember me?
Yes, Sultan, I'm good, my brother. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you so much. I wanted to ask you something. Like, I just listened that you said temples all over the world and the Baha'i centers. So, considering that your religion have derived from Islam as well, so you don't call them mosques? That's my question. So you don't call your prayer centers mosques, right?
Right, we don't. Yeah. Because
Okay,
a mosque is very specific. You know, a mosque is specific. You always envision, when you think of mosque, you think of a place you go pray, but then there's also a religious leader that's elucidating what the Quran is saying, and we don't have that in Baha'i faith. We don't have one person at our temple telling the believers what to believe and how to think and how to live. You know what I mean? But when you go to every Baha'i temple, it's usually a quiet, peace place. Anyone can go there, whether you're religious or not, whether you have a faith or not. Anyone could go in, and they're encouraged to sit down in the quiet space and to just reflect and to pray and silence. Sometimes there is music, sometimes there's programs, but most of the time it's open for silent observance of prayers.
No, the reason I ask is because obviously you told me last time that your faith was declared as non-Muslims in Iran as well. So considering Qadianis in Pakistan, they are declared non-Muslims as well. And does that happen after your declaration of non-Muslims, that you stop calling your worship place, the place of worships, mosques, or do you used to call them all along?
So as Baha'is, we don't say we are non-Muslim. You know, we don't say...
Not you, like obviously you're not
the government.
non-Muslim, but I'm talking about legally, like your country have declared you non-Muslims, isn't it?
Yeah, the country, the government, yeah. The Islamic Republic of Iran has said we are not Muslim, yeah.
Yeah, so does the Islamic Republic of Pakistan have done the same as well with Qadiani, so we have declared them non-Muslims. And our main problem with them is because they keep calling their place of worships mosques. And it's not to create any kind of violence. It's just like if they keep it to themselves, like you have done it so far by not calling your place of worship mosques. And I think you guys must be living in peace over there. Isn't it true?
Right. Exactly.
So that's my whole point is, so if you are obliging by the law of land, so you have no fear at all then, isn't it? Because you don't call yourself Muslims, or you don't call yourself what do you call it, your place of worship, mosques, and anything like that, which can give an impression that you are basically stealing someone else's faith. That's where the
Right.
problem begins, when you start calling yourself something and you're not actually that thing.
Exactly. Yeah. I agree with you. Yeah, I think you're right about that. We don't do that, and it's not because we're trying to hide. It's actually, the teachings of the Baha'i faith is clearly about a very different and new era, a new teaching from God. So why would we have to hide or be in disguise? You know what I mean?
No, you don't have to hide at all. I don't mean that way. Like, obviously, if you are considered a minority in a country, you have every right to exist. You have the right to exercise your religious practices. But the problem begins when you start exercising your rights by plagiarism, like by acting as someone else, but you are not actually
Right.
that person. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. We don't. Yeah, we haven't done that, and that's, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Okay, some people are saying in the comments that it proves that your religion is not Islam. Well, so does yours, my dear. So your religion is not Islam as well. That's the whole reason we are talking about this thing here, because you are declared non-Muslims, and if you keep calling yourself Muslims, that's where the problem begins. That's where the people are going to start erupting themselves, and you're not going to have a peaceful life if you keep calling yourself that. So I think your faith, the Baha'i faith, have considered this, and they have actually they have made themselves clear that they're not going to call themselves to a particular sect of religion, and made your entire religion on its own. And that's what I think have led to the existence of your religion so far.
Okay. Yeah, it's similar to, in Islam, would you agree that Prophet Muhammad verifies the authenticity of Jesus, right? The authenticity of Moses, the authenticity of Abraham, right? So, am I right to say that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, has authenticated in the Quran those prophets, right?
We believe that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the last prophet, and there will be no prophet after him, and he have authenticated all the prophets which came before him.
Okay, so this is what I'm trying to say. He authenticated Abraham, Moses, Jesus, right? So that means that the Jewish people during the time of Jesus Christ, when Jesus came upon them and said, "I am," not directly, but claimed to be the Messiah, and then they disbelieved him. So, so Jesus was born Jewish, but he brought a new teaching from God, which formed a new religion called Christianity. It doesn't mean that.
Let me correct you here. According to the beliefs of Muslims, we don't believe that any prophet which is sent by Allah Almighty is born into some other faith. He's always born Muslim, and that's how he was sent to the earth, for the betterment of his community, and
Right.
to guide people towards Allah. That's his main purpose in the world is. And we don't believe he's born, the Hazrat Isa alayhi salam was born a Jewish. We do not believe that. He was born a Muslim as well, because he was a divine, he was set in the world from a divine power, from a higher power, to bring people towards Allah. That's what we believe.
Yeah, I mean, being Muslim means submitting to the will of God. So in that sense, you're right. He was submissive to the Father. I believe that too. But what I'm trying to say is, in the perspective and context of the early Jewish community during the time of Christ, you could see that the reason why the Jewish community didn't believe in Jesus was because they had their own imaginations, they had their own expectations, narrow-mindedness, and when Jesus didn't fulfill those expectations, they cursed him. They called him a liar. They put him on the cross. So in Islam, we believe Moses was in Islam. We believe Moses was a prophet from God.
No, I think we have to correct the course of discussion here. See, for the Muslims, sorry to interrupt you, Sultan. I'm really sorry, but
No, no,
there
sir.
is one thing which we will add. So, as Sultan told you guys, that we believe that every prophet of Allah, starting from Adam up to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, everyone was Muslim, born Muslim, and all the true followers of their teaching of that time, all were Muslims and our brothers. Okay, so for us, for a Muslim, as per the Quran, that Allah have not created different religion. The only religion, which is the only deen, the only code of conduct, you call it, is Islam. There is none. He is not like he changed anything, you know. It was from the day one, it is Islam, and it will be at the last day of this world, okay? And that is one. Secondly, the only changes which have been there was different Sharia, which was different ruling at that point of time, whatever Allah wills. He just added something or cancelled something. Most of the things were added or cancelled with the will of God. So this is what we believe, and we also believe that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has not introduced Islam. He actually has brought it to its apex. Okay, it akmal. He took it to the best level. Okay, so it was started with Adam, and it was completed at Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam when the message is completed, and then there is no need for a new message, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself took responsibility of keeping these teachings unchanged. So this is what we think. And what we think about Jesus alayhi salam, we said Jesus was never put on cross. You know, they were never able to take him on the cross. He got the opposition from the Jews, of course. Why? Because the community of the Jews were rotten, corrupted, and they have made their rabbis and their leaders whatever they say. Like you guys have your 9 people who decide what should be the next thing. I mean, they also used to just go to their priests, and their priests used to, high priests used to give a ruling and make something halal and haram. They used to do that. So when Jesus alayhi salam came, he said that I want to re-implement Torah, which was given to Moses, and he was also given Injil to him, and they did not listen to it. Why? Because there was a conflict between them, because the teaching of Jesus was actually the extension of the teaching of Moses, but because these guys, as per Quran, they had a habit to go around and find different ways to bend the rules of Allah and to play with them, you know, and they were doing that. So that was the main reason. It was not that they did not recognize him. They thought that it is not the true Messiah. I mean, their act to conspire against him, to put him on the cross, itself is a proof that they knew that this is not an impostor. That is the real person who was supposed to come. And then they tried to do that, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved him from the cross, and then Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came. So this is how Islam works. That for us, as per Quran, there is no other religion than Islam. There is Islam from the day one, and it will be on the day X, or on the last day as well. Thank you.
So my understanding is the opposition from the Jewish rabbis against Jesus is because Jesus Christ did not complete the expectations, you know, and so they opposed him because of that. So that's why Baha'is, we believe Jesus was put on the cross and he was unalived physically, but when our understanding of the Quran saying he wasn't crucified, we believe that means spiritually, you know, like we're talking about how the mission of Jesus, and like first you have to ask yourself, why did they put him on the cross? You know, one answer would be they put him on the cross because they thought he was causing problems in their community. He was claiming to be from God.
He was never put on the cross. He was never put him on the
Right. So
he was never put him on the cross.
we believe he was.
They wanted to do that. Yes.
Let me finish.
Okay. All right.
They actually put Jesus on the cross, and they did unalive him on the cross. The whole Christian world would testify to this too. But the reason why the Quran says he wasn't, we believe that's a spiritual. Like spiritually, they didn't crucify him. That's why Christianity still grew throughout the world, because the mission of Jesus never ended. You know, the purpose of Jesus, the Injil was still spread all over the world. The disciples of Christ, you know, we believe the resurrection of Jesus after 3 days was a spiritual thing, not a physical thing. You know, we believe that the disciples of Christ were sad, they were unhappy, they were spiritually dark, but when they witnessed the resurrection of Jesus spiritually, that gave them faith and strength and confidence, and they were able to get up and go and teach the Injil all over the world. And so, you know, so our understanding of that again is a spiritual versus physical. We believe physically Jesus was crucified, and the whole Christian world would bear witness to this. But spiritually, his mission, his spirit was not crucified. You know, they did not stop Christianity from growing throughout the world.
Okay, so Vinci, can we talk about some of your recent encounters with the people of Jamat Ahmadiyya? And you've been speaking to them. I have seen you on multiple guests. So what do you take from this guy who claimed to be a promised Messiah as well, Mirza Ghulam Qadiani, who said that he is basically the promised Messiah and also Imam Mahdi as well? And what do you take of him? Like, do you find him truthful in his claims, or do you think he's actually stolen the claims from your promised Messiah? What do you think?
Yeah, we believe he plagiarized, and he knew Baha'is. He knew a man named Jamal Effendi, and Jamal Effendi's other name was Suleiman Khan. There's also Mirza Abul Fazl. So these individuals were Baha'is who had tablets from Baha Allah written, and they took with them. And we know that Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani read those and studied those, and we believe that eventually he took those to be his words and his teachings, and that's pretty evident when you consider the different years. I spoke to a Qadiani follower recently, I think a couple days ago, and Sahil Khan's or Dr. Drew, I think, channel, and I think his name was Saudia King. I made my claim through Saudia King that Baha'u'llah, the Baha'i faith started in the year 1844, or in Islam 1260, and the Bab, the founder of the Babi faith, that prepared the way for Baha'u'llah, he declared his mission in 1844, and then Baha'u'llah declared his mission in 1863. So the Bab was saying that he was the promised one, in the sense of, like, you know, he's the return of the Mahdi, and that he is related to the Prophet Muhammad through Imam Hussein, and we have a family tree of that I could show you. And then he said that there is someone that's coming greater than me, you know, him whom God shall make manifest. So Baha'u'llah was that. And about 19 years after 1844, which is 1863, Baha'u'llah declared his mission. And then so the years are 1844, and then 1863, and then
I got you. Like, you're trying to say, like, Baha'u'llah came before Mirza Qadiani, so that's why he must have been incorporated. Now, all I wanted to ask you this is because to show you the real face of the imposters, like the people who claim that they are the they are the people of Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam will not talk how this person is talking in the comment section. But when you raise any sort of question on this imposter, on this con man, the con artist of 18th century, named Mirza Ghulam Qadiani, who stole the beliefs from some other person and then inflicted those beliefs on himself and claimed to be a promised Messiah. When you talk about that CUNT, the people in the comment sections will start talking bad about our Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. Look at the comments, some of the comments this woman is making in the comment section. So this is how you can pinpoint a non-Muslim, an imposter who is claiming to be a Muslim, but is actually wearing a mask in some false identity.
Right.
So you said, you talk about Mirza Ghulam Qadiani, you raise a finger on him, and these people will straight away, without any shadow of a doubt, they will start pointing towards the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and forgetting the thing that he is the one due to which your Mirza Ghulam Qadiani came into existence at all.
Yes.
Forget that.
Yeah. That's how it is. Unfortunately, it seems like they're putting a deaf ear toward it when you tell them. You know, like when I spoke to Saudiya King, and I mentioned the dates and I mentioned some of the teachings that are similar to Baha'i teachings that came before. I think they're very staunch about Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani, and you know, hopefully some of them will eventually see that these teachings comes from Baha'i faith, you know?
Oh, you would be surprised. Loads of people are leaving this cult every single day. I personally know like 3 families who have recently left this cult and have joined back in Islam. I'm talking about these Qadianis.
Right. I think Anna wants me to read something. I don't know which one. Let's see.
Thank you, Savinci, for taking the time and answering some of my questions as well.
No problem.
Hopefully, I'll see you some other day, some other time. Thank you.
No problem.
Take care. Bye-bye.
I want to tell Anna I apologize. I'm not really keeping up with the comments. Just forget about her. Don't worry about it. Maybe she has sent. If somebody has any question for Sarvinci, please let me know. We can take them up. Swan, you're available? Guys, just hold on. I'm checking in my room, so I'll speak to you guys. 5 minutes. Yeah, Anna, Baha'is do believe Muslims to be the right path. Yeah, but we believe that the path is open to everyone. It's not just for Muslims. It's not just for Baha'is. It's for everyone. And we believe that even though the Baha'i faith is different in the sense that it's not a sect of Islam, we believe that the Baha'i faith is an independent religion, just like how Islam is independent from Christianity. Christianity is independent from Judaism. Baha'i faith is independent as well, which means that it's not a sect. It's not a breaking off of a religion. But we believe, even though they're independent, that they're all from the same Allah. They're all from the same God. They're preaching the same message, and the only difference is that they change according to what the world needs. That's the only change you see. But the fundamental spiritual teachings, like how we should treat each other, how we should worship, what we should do to the world, like be of service to others, be of service to humanity, those things don't change. The fundamental spiritual teachings are the same, but the social teachings change. Like things like
Vinci, sorry, I have to stop you here. Sorry. This Anna lady down there, she's not Muslim. She's Qadiani, by the way, and she's calling you a non-Muslim as well. Just up in the comment, have a look. She said you are not Muslim.
yeah. So from a Baha'i view, that's not true because if as a Baha'i I believe that Muhammad was from God and I believe Baha Allah was from the same God, then I believe that I am a Muslim, but not in the same way that Muslims think. Maybe my perspective is a little bit more wider in the sense of I like to embrace, as a Baha'i, I embrace all of them, all of the messengers of God. Even Muhammad says we make no distinctions, right? So I make no distinction, and so I am a Muslim, and then I am a Christian, I am Jewish. As a Baha'i, I'm able to embrace all of them and say that they're all from the same God. They're not. We shouldn't view them as bad or wrong. Maybe the practices and maybe the interpretations are wrong. Maybe what people are saying today is probably a little bit different than what it was intended. But as a Baha'i, I believe in all of the messages that are from God.
I have a message for Anna. Just 1 second, Sir Vinci. Anna, एक ज़िंदगी दूसरी ज़िंदगी से टकरा रही है. आपको अपने मिर्जा को बचाना चाहिए यहाँ पे.
Swansea, I want to ask one question. Can I?
Please, yes.
I would ask one or two questions only. My first question is, how many people are in the same belief you are in? I mean, how many people are considering the Baha'i religion as their code of life?
Wait, so okay, ask me that question again. I rephrase your question. What was the question about?
I'm asking about the Baha'is population.
Yeah, so the
How many people do you
population.
have who follow Mr. Baha Allah Irani?
Yeah, Baha Allah's followers, I would say we estimate around a little over 10 or 12 million, around there.
Okay, that number is surprising because I haven't met anyone from the Baha'is faith. Even I'm a good traveler, but still I haven't met anyone. So that
You
number
have
is really
to.
surprising for me.
May I ask what city you live in? Are you in the U.S.?
No, I live in Pakistan, but I travel very frequently.
Okay, so you're in Pakistan. So there has to be a Baha'i
Yes.
community in Pakistan, I'm sure. You just have to look for it.
But nobody have listened to this.
No one have listened. Have you tried to reach out to the Baha'i community of Pakistan?
Not actually, but when you are just hanging out, sometimes you have some encounters with the Qadiani people, but I haven't met anyone who claims to be Baha'i. But anyway, that's okay. That's okay. I think in Pakistan, the religion is kept very secret, specifically for those who have a religion which contradicts with Islam. So people keep it very secret.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about the religious culture or the religious climate of Pakistan. I don't know if Baha'is are keeping it, not secret, but they're probably not outwardly going around, maybe, telling everyone, teaching the faith. Maybe that's not allowed in Pakistan. I don't know. Is Pakistan allowed to teach a new religion, or the government doesn't allow it?
Well, actually, government don't allow it because Pakistan was the first country who declared those Qadianis non-Muslim.
Okay. So,
But
so,
really,
so
there, every minority in Pakistan can live peacefully. That's the message of the government as well. So if they are not
Yes.
interfering,
They
if
can
they're
live
not
peacefully, but they
interfering
cannot. Uh,
yeah. So
they can live freely in Pakistan, but they cannot preach.
right. So the thing about the Baha'is is we obey the law of the land, If the land says you cannot preach, we don't. Not preach, but teach.
That's the way
like,
to
oh,
be, to be honest,
yeah.
Avicii. That's the way to be. That's our main agenda with these Qadianis, because they are interrupting our religion by claiming themselves to be Muslims. That's where the problem begins. As far as like we know, they have been declared a non-Muslim, so they shouldn't be preaching their religion as an Islam. That's where the
Correct.
problem begins.
Yeah, so you have to. I think any true believer in God would respect others, would respect